Good morning, student. Yesterday we have read about the primary activity. In primary activity, we have studied the primitive mode of primary activity, that is hunting and gathering. We have read about pastoral nomadism. Then we have read the commercial livestock rearing. We have read about agriculture as a primary activity. In agriculture, we have read subsistence type of agriculture, that is primitive subsistence agriculture or shifting cultivation. Then we have read intensive subsistence agriculture. In intensive subsistence agriculture, we have read wet paddy cultivation and the region where there is other than the wet paddy cultivation is done, that we have read. Then we have read about commercial grain farming, that is extensive commercial grain farming. Now today we are going to start from plantation farming. So plantation farming, actually these are introduced by the imperialist government, those who have set up colonies in different parts of the world. They have actually bring this concept of plantation farming. So today we'll read about the plantation farming. So plantation agriculture are mentioned or introduced by the Europeans in different colonies where they have settled, especially in the tropical regions. Some of the important plantation crops are tea, coffee, cocoa, rubber, cotton, oil, sugarcane, banana and pineapples. So these are the plantation crops that we have. The characteristic features of this type of farming are a large estates or plantation farms are needed. So it requires a large farm where the plantation farming have to be carried on. Large capital investment is required for this type of farming. Managerial and technical support is required to proceed with the plantation procedure. Scientific methods of cultivation is needed. Single crop specialization is needed. Cheap labor is required and a good system of transportation which links the estate to the factories and then to the market for the export of the product. So these are the features which the plantation farming require. So why a good transport facility is required? Because in plantation farming some perishable commodities are also being farmed, so they need to be transported in proper place or in the market, from the farm to the market or from the farm to the factory and then to the market. So if proper transportation is not there, then certain perishable commodities can be spoiled. So it need a proper means of transport. So the French established cocoa and coffee plantation in West Africa. The British set up large tea gardens in Malaysia and sugarcane. In India also British set up tea, sugarcane and banana plantation in West Indies, and Spanish and Americans have set up coconut and sugarcane plantation in the Philippines. The Dutch once had monopoly over sugarcane plantation in Indonesia. Some coffee plantation in Brazil are still managed by the Europeans. So today ownership of the majority of the plantation has been shifted from private sector to the public. That means the government has taken the monopoly. Previously it was owned by the private individual. So we have read about the plantation farming. What are the features, characteristic features of plantation farming? Then we will read about the extensive commercial grain cultivation. Commercial grain cultivation, as the name suggests, it is mainly done for commercial purpose. It's practiced in the interior parts of the semi-arid lands of the mid-latitudes. And wheat is the main crop that is grown. Though other crops like corn, barley, oats are also grown, but the wheat is the main crop produced in the commercial grain farming. The size of the farm is very large. Therefore, entire operation of cultivation from ploughing to the harvesting are done by machine. So it is mechanized farming. So there is low yield per acre but high yield per person. So that is the reason the per acre of production is very low, because it is a large area. Then this type of agriculture is best developed in Eurasian grassland, temperate grassland, that is steppes, the Canadian and American prairie grassland, the pampas of Argentina, and the vales of South Africa, and the Australian downs. So these are some of the temperate grassland where the commercial grain farming are extensively carried out. Now we'll read about the mixed farming. As the name suggests, mixed farming, that means in a single plot of land different type of farming is carried on. That is the name mixed farming is given. This form of agriculture is found in the highly developed parts of the world, that is in northwestern Europe, eastern North America, parts of Europe and Eurasia, and the temperate latitudes of southern continent. So mixed farms are moderate in size, and usually the crop associated with it are wheat, barley, oats, maize, fodder and root crops. So different types of crops can be cultivated in a mixed farming in a single parcel of land. Sometimes the farmers can also cultivate certain nitrogen fixing plants such as leguminous plant in order to gain the fertility of the soil. So crop rotation and intercropping play an important role in maintaining the fertility of the soil, and equal emphasis is also being given on crop cultivation and animal husbandry. With the same time, with the crop cultivation, animal husbandry is also being done. Animals like cattle, sheep, pigs, poultry provide the main income along with the crops. So mixed farming is characterized by high capital expenditure on farm machinery and building, and extensive use of chemical fertilizers and green manures, also by the skill of expertise of the farmers. So it is a mechanized farming. High level of chemical fertilizers are used in a single plot of land. Different types of crops can be grown in mixed farming. Now we will read about dairy farming. So dairy is the most advanced and efficient type of rearing of milch animals. So those animals which provide with milk, mainly in dairy farming, such type of animals are reared. It is highly capital intensive type of farming. It requires high capital investment, animal sheds, storage facilities for fodder, feeding and milking machines add to the cost of dairy farming. Why it is very high capital investment is required? Because it requires certain thing which requires more money. So special emphasis is laid on cattle breeding, healthcare and veterinary services too. So these are the requirements which a dairy farm needed. It is highly labor intensive as it involves rigorous care have to be taken in feeding and milking of the animals. So there is no off season during the entire year. In the case of crop raising, there is off season. So it is practiced mainly near urban and industrial centers which provide neighborhood market for fresh milk and dairy products. The development of transportation, refrigeration and pasteurization and other preservation processes have increased the duration of storage of various dairy products. So it requires the refrigeration properly, otherwise dairy products are perishable. So there are three main regions of commercial dairy farming. That is very important. There are three main regions where the commercial dairy farming are carried on. That is in northwestern Europe, second is in Canada, and third belt in the southeastern Australia, New Zealand and Tasmania. So these are the region where dairy farming is carried on. So in the next class, we'll read about the Mediterranean agriculture and the rest of the farming activity that is carried as primary activity. So thanking you, student.